Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really focusing in on something crucial for new parents, baby skincare.
It's definitely a big topic.
Yeah, we've looked at a lot of expert advice, from pediatricians, dermatologists, gathered in our source material.
Mm.
Our mission, to kind of cut through the confusion.
And pull out the most important bits.
Exactly. To help you feel, well, confident about caring for your baby's skin.
Which is so important, right? Because baby skin isn't just miniature adult skin. It's fundamentally different.
Okay, let's unpack that difference. The sources, like guidance from the American Academy of Pediatrics, really hammer this home. How exactly is it different?
Well, structurally, it's quite fascinating. Baby skin is way thinner than ours.
Thinner. How much thinner?
Around 30% thinner, actually, and that's not just a statistic. It means it's much more permeable.
So things get through easier.
Exactly. Irritants, allergens, they can penetrate more easily. It also loses moisture much faster.
Hence the dryness issues you hear about.
Precisely. And it's less oily naturally, so that protective barrier we have as adults, it's just not as robust yet.
Right. Less protected, more vulnerable. It makes sense why you can't just grab, your own shower gel.
Definitely not. It needs special care tailored to those differences.
So understanding that is sort of step one.
It's the foundation, yeah. And it leads us right into the kind of routine the experts in our sources recommend. A routine designed, really, to support that delicate skin barrier.
Okay, let's get practical then. The routine. Starting with, bath time. Feels basic, but what's the guidance? How often?
Yeah, it's fundamental. The pediatric dermatologists in the source material are pretty clear. Newborns, they only really need a bath maybe 2-3 times a week.
Only 2 or 3 times. That seems infrequent.
It does, maybe, but there's a good reason. Bailing too often, especially if the water's too warm, actually strips away those limited natural oils we talked about.
Making dryness worse.
Exactly. So when you do bathe them, keep the water lukewarm, test it with your elbow, not your hand, and the soap choice is critical.
Okay, what kind of soap?
Gentle, fragrance-free, hypoallergenic baby wash. That's the key.
The sources mentioned some common recommendations, didn't they? Like CeraVe Baby, Aveeno Baby.
Stella too, yeah. Those are often cited because they fit that gentle, fragrance-free profile.
And what should people definitely avoid?
Oh, harsh soaps, for sure. And interestingly, antibacterial washes.
Really? Why antibacterial? Aren't they supposed to be cleaner?
You'd think so, but they can be too drying, and more importantly, they can disrupt the baby's natural skin microbiome.
Microbiome. Like the good bacteria on the skin.
Exactly. That developing ecosystem on their skin surface, it actually plays a role in skin health, so you don't want to interfere with it unnecessarily.
Okay. So support, don't disrupt. Makes sense. Now, after the bath, you mentioned dryness. What's next?
Moisturizing. Absolutely crucial, especially given how fast baby skin loses moisture.
Right away.
Yes, the best time is immediately after gently patting the skin dry. Don't rub, just pat.
Okay. Pat dry, then moisturize.
To lock that moisture in. And again, look for gentle, fragrance-free baby lotion or cream.
Brands like Vanicream or Eucerin Baby, maybe. Aquaphor.
Those are common examples the experts mention. Yes, they fit the bill.
What if you're seeing really dry patches? Or maybe even signs of eczema? Does the type of moisturizer matter then?
That's a great point. Texture really comes into play here. For more significant dryness, or for eczema-prone skin, a thicker product usually performs better.
Thicker? Like what?
Like a thick cream or even an ointment. Petroleum jelly, for example, provides a really substantial barrier.
Okay.
It helps prevent water loss and protects that irritated skin. The listener question in the source from Sarah in Texas, she asked about really dry skin.
All right, I remember that.
And the advice was spot on. Thicker creams like CeraVe Baby Cream or Aquaphor are often better for that level of dryness.
But always check with a doctor if it's bad or persistent.
Always. Absolutely. Pediatrician first if you're worried.
Got it. So, matching the product to the need. Okay, moving from bath and lotion, diaper duty. A constant battleground for skin issues.
It can feel like it. Prevention is absolutely key here.
How do you prevent diaper rash?
Frequent changes are number one, like ideally every 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
You want to minimize how long the skin is in contact with wetness and irritants.
Okay, frequent changes. What else?
Use a barrier cream, highly recommended, specifically one that contains zinc oxide.
Zinc oxide. Why that ingredient?
It creates a physical shield, basically. Sits on top of the skin and blocks moisture, blocks irritants from urine and stool.
Like a little protective layer.
Exactly. Brands like Desitin or Boudreaux's butt paste mentioned in the source are good examples because they're zinc oxide based.
What about wipes? So many options out there. Some smell nice.
Steer clear of the ones with alcohol or fragrance. Big time irritants for that delicate area.
Okay, no fragrance, no alcohol. What then?
Water wipes are a great option. Or honestly, just a soft washcloth with plain water. Simple is often really effective here.
All right, keep it simple. Okay, so cleansing, moisturizing, diaper area. What about the sun? Protecting them outside.
Ah, yes. Sun protection. And the advice is definitely age dependent.
How so?
For babies under 6 months old, the gold standard is just avoidance. Keep them in the shade.
Right.
Use protective clothing, long sleeves, pants, hats. Sunscreen generally isn't recommended for that age group.
Unless a doctor specifically says so.
Exactly. Unless directed by a pediatrician, maybe for a tiny amount on a small area if exposure is unavoidable. But shade and clothes are first line.
And for older babies, over 6 months.
Then, if they're going to be in the sun, you use a mineral-based sunscreen, also called physical sunscreen.
That's the zinc oxide or titanium dioxide kind.
You got it. They work by sitting on the skin and physically blocking the UV rays, unlike chemical sunscreens, which get absorbed.
Okay, and what SPF?
SPF 30 or higher is what the sources recommend for babies over 6 months.
Good to know. Are there other products, maybe things that seem okay that parents should just skip altogether for babies?
Yes, definitely a few things to avoid. Anything with perfumes or added dyes.
Irritation risk.
Huge irritation risk. Same goes for essential oils that might smell nice, but they can really bother sensitive baby skin. And talcum powder.
Why no talcum powder? I feel like that used to be standard.
Yeah, it did. But there are concerns now about the respiratory risks if the baby inhales those fine particles.
Ah, okay. So best to just avoid it.
General consensus is yes, skip the talc.
Okay, so we've got the basics, why baby skin is different, the core routine. But, stuff still happens. Little skin issues pop up.
It's almost inevitable, right?
Yeah. The sources mentioned a few common ones, like cradle cap. What do the experts say about dealing with that?
Right, cradle cap. You might see those flaky, maybe kind of oily patches on the scalp. Looks a bit weird, but usually harmless.
What do you do for it?
The advice is pretty gentle. Gently massage the scalp with a bit of baby oil or mineral oil, helps loosen the scales.
Okay.
Then, maybe before or during bath time, use a soft baby brush to gently brush the loosened scales away.
Gentle being the key word there.
Always. And then there's baby acne.
Oh, yeah, those little pimples.
Tiny red bumps, usually on the face, often pop up in the first few weeks. It's typically hormonal.
And treatment.
Usually none needed. It tends to resolve all on its own. The main thing is don't scrub it, don't use adult acne products. Just gentle cleansing with water is fine.
Okay, leave alone mostly. What about eczema? That seems more persistent.
Yeah, eczema can be tougher. It presents often as really dry, red, itchy patches. It can be quite uncomfortable for the baby.
So what's the approach there?
Well, the core strategy for managing mild eczema based on the sources really circles back to what we've been saying about dryness.
Consistent moisturizing.
Exactly. Consistent use of those fragrance-free products.
Yeah.
Diligent moisturizing, especially right after the bath, often with those thicker creams or ointments we mentioned earlier.
Like the heavier duty stuff.
Yeah, to really lock in moisture and protect the skin barrier.
So for cradle cap, baby acne, mild eczema, the theme seems to be gentle, avoid harsh stuff, don't necessarily overtreat.
That's a perfect summary. And the most important piece of advice, woven through everything the experts say.
Let me guess. Check with your pediatrician.
Absolutely. If you're ever unsure about what a skin issue is, why it's happening, how bad it is, or how to treat it, call the doctor. They can give you a proper diagnosis and specific advice for your baby.
That expert eye is crucial. Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. The big takeaways from this deep dive into the source material on baby skin.
I'd say number one is gentleness and simplicity.
Right.
Bathe gently, not too often. Protect those natural oils.
Moisturize consistently with simple, fragrance-free products right after the bath.
Yes, and be really diligent about diaper changes and using that zinc oxide barrier cream. Prevent.
Protect from the sunshade and clothes first, then mineral sunscreen for older babies.
And actively avoid those irritants. Harsh chemicals, fragrances, dyes. Skip the talc.
Less is more, basically.
That really seems to be the core message for healthy baby skin. Less is often more effective.
Thinking about how delicate baby skin is, how reactive, and how relatively simple the expert recommended care seems to be. Just protect, hydrate, avoid irritants. Kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? at our own adult skincare routines. Are we maybe putting too much stuff on our skin or even our babies when sometimes, well, sometimes less really is more?
That's a really interesting thought. It's provocative. The principles for baby skincare, protecting the barrier, simple hydration, they're pretty fundamental skin needs, aren't they? Maybe there's a lesson there for all of us in that simplicity.
Something to think about.
Hmm.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope this look at the expert advice helps you feel more confident navigating the world of baby skincare.